nursery sector strengths and weaknesses from our perspective, we've seen that the sector has been really quite resilient in comparison to other sectors that we work within. We've seen that the demographics remain really quite favourable, and that does create great confidence to banks and investors looking at the nursery sector. In terms of the banks and investors we mentioned before, there are challenges that they need to understand. We've certainly seen operators have increased challenges with occupancy churn, with administration of different income streams. We've seen this clearly. One of the key issues is this energy monopsony, which essentially is one purchaser being the sole purchaser of a business or a service. Here we have the local authorities really being the sole purchaser of energy places. It's a price-fixing restriction that the sector has to contend with, and clearly is working very hard to try and address. And we also continually see the sector, many nurseries don't see the value or the importance in producing monthly management information, and it's so important, as I said a couple of years ago, that regular MI of high quality is produced. I know that NDNA recently launched a new product called Calculate, which is being displayed at the moment. Actually, I had a look at it yesterday, and it is a first-class product. It would give every operator information at their fingertips on cash flow, on occupancy, it's an excellent piece of kit, and I really ask you to recommend you to go and have a look at it if you can later on today. So seeking funds for expansion. As I mentioned, when you're looking to expand an existing nursery, there's trading or acquire a closed nursery or build your own another nursery, there are some challenges, and the key one is it's so important to have a regular ongoing dialogue with your bank. They need to understand the sector, they need to understand your business. They want to have a relationship with you. Many bankers now don't specialise just in nurseries. They will have industrial portfolios, they'll have residential clients, they'll have a wide mix of customers. You need to tell them about your business and the strengths of the sector and explain the issues they can understand and try and support you as best they can. The banks have different criteria, and some banks they will support freehold nurseries on funding front more so than leasehold nurseries, and it really depends on each different bank's credits and sanctioning requirements. In terms of raising finance, or even just to raise your overdraft or to gain additional support from the bank, there are really three areas. That is the visibility of EBITDA, which again comes into play when you're trying to buy a nursery or sell a nursery, and transparency over the EBITDA, which is essentially the profit. The ability that the cash flow is really important, and as is having a really strong balance sheet, there's a balance sheet that's in good order. The other issue for the banks from a funding perspective is sustainability. So if you're looking to raise funds for a new build nursery, then clearly you're not just raising funds to acquire the land, to undertake the build, and then to trade. You need some financial support over the first 12 months of trading while that business achieves increased occupancy and starts to achieve a mature position. And that's the same if you're building an extension to increase capacity by, say, 20 places, or building a closed nursery. The bank needs to see a really strong business case from you that illustrates, here's the demand, here's my skill set. And it's not just, it used to be that large deposits were required. If you had a large deposit, the bank would look favourably. It's not. It's now down to what is your expertise in the sector, how well do you understand the sector, and how well you can demonstrate your business case for funding to be supported and released to you. That all said, while the banks are supportive at frontline level, I know from speaking to many of you here today, often the decision on funding and providing funds is taken out of their hands. It goes to senior credit teams that are out of reach of the frontline bank service staff. And those credit teams are there to protect the bank. They don't have a relationship with you. They are there to protect their interests. And we work really closely with a number of the bank's credit teams. They are challenging to work with, and it's tricky, but their opinion on lending can vary from day to day, and that is a real challenge, and something which is difficult for us to try and address, really. So moving forward, just briefly onto our predictions. We certainly expect this year that we'll see further consolidation. We've seen a number of regional deals last year. We've seen an increase in single asset transactions, both freeholds and leaseholds. We've seen an increase in closed sales. We certainly expect to see more regional group deals occurring. Clearly, there is confidence in the market from purchasers. There is confidence in the market from the banks that are supporting those purchasers, that have the wealth of experience and expertise needed to acquire and integrate new settings. And there's real buyer demand. We really feel we'll see continued pressure on nurseries in deprived areas. Not every nursery, again, it's a postcode lottery, but many nurseries have struggled with occupancy, with issues with funding's being withdrawn from local authorities, bank funding may have some challenges associated to it, and we are increasingly seeing those sorts of nurseries are relying on energy funding solely for those sessions. And when the cost to deliver those sessions is essentially creating a loss for the operator, that is not a solid business case for those providers. We, at Christie & Co, we feel that we will see a further increase in the shortfall in funding, which we think will be really quite challenging. As we said before, there is a real monopsony. The local authorities are in control. We are choosing to sell our energy places if we choose to sell them, and we have no real power over the rates, which is a real problem. In terms of economic uncertainty, I think a lot of this really is driven by issues arising in Europe and the uncertainty that may occur there and issues that may arise there, and that does have a direct impact on the banks and their ability to fund and support all businesses across the UK. We certainly feel that the nursery sector is not without its challenges. We really feel that close attention to business monitoring, such as using financial tools, continued marketing, even if it's utilising free marketing opportunities, close business management, and accessing local networks and communicating with other local providers and network groups, and accessing the range of services that NDNA provide. We feel that if all of those opportunities are pursued, then operators will hopefully be able to have an increased visibility over in the direction in which their nursery might be going over the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months. And we certainly feel that the outlook for the sector is positive overall, although we feel that the next 12 months could be challenging, lots of issues in terms of 2-year-old provision and changes in legislation and so forth. But on the whole, we have a very positive perception as to what the future may hold for this sector.